I, Manmohan Singh, do swear in the name of God I am not going to be a candidate for the Prime Ministership if the UPA were to come back into power. माना कि तेरी दीद के काबिल नहीं हूँ मैं, तू मेरा शौक तो देख, मेरा इंतजार देख.
Wall Street closes mixed amidst thin trading volumes. The Dow closes higher for the fifth straight day, while the Nasdaq and the S&P 500 drop. Asian markets are mixed, while the gift Nifty is also indicating a lower start for our own markets. Crude prices have edged lower on a stronger dollar, with Brent trading around $73 a barrel, while gold prices have also risen, driven by safe haven demand. Another record low for the rupee for the seventh straight session now due to sustained dollar buying by OMCs. And 5 stocks are set to list on the exchanges today. DAM Capital Advisors, Concord Enviro Systems, Translate Writing, Sanathan Textiles and Mamta Machinery will make their stock market debuts today. It's a somber start to the final Friday of 2024, as former Indian Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh has passed away at the age of 92. He died of age-related conditions and was admitted to Delhi's All India Institute of Medical Sciences last evening. And he was Prime Minister for 2 terms under the Congress-led UPA alliance. And Lata is now joining in with more. Of course, Lata, it's a somber start to the Friday. Multiple roles that Dr. Singh played in his career. It's a big, big loss.
Yes, it is. And for me, it's particularly poignant because practically the 1991 budget of June was passed in a week after I joined journalism in Economic Times. Well, even before that, Dr. Singh was a big figure in policy-making circles, obviously. Even before he became RBI governor in 1983, he was already in various roles in policy-making circles. But that's why he was identified and brought in 1983 by Indira Gandhi. And, I was a college student then, and I have got a prize from him for some elocution. He was the chief guest as the RBI governor. Those are just personal reminiscences. But Dr. Singh literally created the middle class as we know it. Through the 80s, you couldn't import television sets, air conditioners, refrigerators. You couldn't make them. You couldn't bring the parts. Big houses were prevented from making all those, consumer durables on the guise of, or on the argument that, there is a lot of poverty, so big companies should only make mother machines, machine tools. That was the logic of the time, the license Raj. In 1991, we were short of dollars to such an extent that we could only buy 3 months, 3 weeks of oil imports. And in the face of that, Dr. Singh's liberalization was the exact opposite. He scrapped all import controls. Why? Because you import and you export. So if you want a vibrant export economy, you should have the courage to allow imports. So that was the biggest contribution in 1991, completely scrapping the license Raj in the face of adversity, completely scrapping the import controls. We had import tariffs from between 200 and 300%. And Dr. Singh, along with Dr. Raja Chellaiya, who was his trusted fiscal advisor, a very great fiscal economist, they prepared a 5-year plan to bring down tariffs to 20 to 30%. I mean, look at the scale. There were, at that time, industrialists like Rahul Bajaj who said that India will get deindustrialized if you allow foreign competition. But nothing like that happened. India became an industrial power because of that. Likewise, we didn't have dollars, but what did Dr. Singh and Dr. Rangarajan Dr. Rangarajan in 1991 was RBI governor, not 91, 92, and Manmohan Singh was finance minister. Together, they made the rupee a convertible currency. Until then, you had to buy dollars at a fixed price. They made it, a market-driven price in two stages. First, exporters had to give 60% at the administered price, 40% they could sell in the market. At the end of 1 year, it was entirely a convertible currency, something which China is not able to do today. We could do it thanks to men like Dr. Manmohan Singh and Rangarajan way back in 1991. And the other big contribution was the liberation of the banking sector. The bank deposit rates and lending rates were set by RBI. Both those controls were removed with Manmohan Singh as FM and Rangarajan as governor. And banks were free to set their own lending rates. So basically, if you wanted a government securities market, thank Manmohan Singh. If you have a foreign exchange market, thank Manmohan Singh. If you are able to buy televisions, make them. Make every gadget, you have to thank Manmohan Singh. So it's a slew of reforms. And then, of course, private bank licenses and, a whole host. I remember him telling us in a press conference, I went there as a cub reporter. He was speaking at the IGIDR, which was newly inaugurated. And he said, the government was putting controls on itself in terms of how much government securities it could issue. They were called the ad hocs. Until his time, the government could keep on issuing government bonds and banks had to buy them because they were all nationalized. And he explained to us, what I have done? We have put curbs on ourselves on borrowing. So, those were the brilliant times of 1991, which gave us all the subsequent markets. And, after that, India went through the roof because of FPI participation, more of Indian rich participating in the stock markets. And then his big contribution comes when he becomes PM from 2004 to 2014. I think you are old enough to remember that time. Well, at that time, all the MNREGS, when we had COVID, what did we have by way of a social net? Everything that he had put in place, an MNREGS, a Food Security Act, which gave free food, or at least food at 2 rupees to a large part of India. And even the Aadhaar, originally conceptualized by his regime, when it was at that time called the National Identity Authority, then it became the UIDAI, and finally now called the Aadhaar. So we have so much to thank Dr. Manmohan Singh. I would think history would remember him as the best economic policy maker India has had, the best economic policy making prime minister. And I'm sure you're going to hear a lot of his own contemporaries who will be speaking to us. And I think they will be able to appreciate his context in India's economic history much better.
As in his own words, history will be a lot kinder to him than a lot of the media, as he said.
That's the only sentence we remember because many of us are young enough and we just remember that 10 years ago or 15 years ago when he lost power, when the UPA lost power, this was the statement. But, his first sentence actually is when he liberalized. Yes. It's a legendary statement. The statement was, nothing can stop an idea whose time has come. So, it was Dr. Manmohan Singh who shepherded that idea into India.
That was that day, the 24th of July, 1991, that historic budget that paved the way for India's economic liberalization. Lata, thanks a lot for that poignant tribute there to Dr. Manmohan Singh. But tributes also poured in from across the political spectrum. President Draupadi Murmu praised his ability to straddle the world of academia and politics with equal ease. Prime Minister Narendra Modi also paid his condolences on X, writing about the times they would have discussions over matters of governance. Rahul Gandhi also paid his condolences to the family and said that he has lost a mentor and a guide. And let us also listen to tributes that have come in from Jairam Ramesh, Ashwini Kumar and Ghulam Nabi Azad.
I worked with him in the Planning Commission and then I worked with him when he was Finance Minister Then I worked with him when he was out of power in the Congress party. Then I worked with him when he was Prime Minister. So for 36 years, I've worked with him very, very closely, very intimately. Very many memories of our association. Well, what can I say? He led a full life. It was a full life, extremely full life, and it was an extraordinarily distinguished life. Chief economic advisor, chief economic advisor, finance secretary, member secretary, planning commission, governor, Reserve Bank of India, deputy chairman, planning commission, finance minister, prime minister. I can't think of anybody in India who's had all these posts.
डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह जी का निधन देश के लिए केवल एक क्षति ही नहीं मगर एक कोलोसल ट्रेजेडी है। उस वक्त उनका जाना जब देश की राजनीति एक ऐसा मोड़ ले रही थी जो ले रही है, जो मैं समझता हूँ देश के भविष्य के लिए अच्छी बात नहीं है। मेरा ये मानना है कि डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह ने अपनी सादगी और सरलता के चलते हुए और उसको बरकरार रखते हुए देश के लिए कुछ ऐसी उपलब्धियां की हैं जिनका आने वाले कई सालों में चर्चा रहेगी। इंडो यूएस सिविल न्यूक्लियर डील एक ऐसी उपलब्धि थी। राइट टू इंफॉर्मेशन और जो फूड सिक्योरिटी एक्ट हैं, ये बहुत बड़ी उपलब्धियां हैं जिनकी आज अगर पूरी तरह पहचान नहीं है तो आने वाले सालों में होगी।
डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह जी के निधन पर बहुत ही अफसोस हुआ। वो मेरे ख्याल में देश के पहले प्रधानमंत्री थे जो इकोनॉमिस्ट, और उनकी छाप पूरी दुनिया में पड़ी। उनके इकोनॉमिक लिबरलाइजेशन के लिए, जिससे हिंदुस्तान का इकोनॉमिक नक्शा ही बदल गया। आज उनके क्रिटिक भी उनकी तारीफ करते हैं।
Back with us here on Power Breakfast. It was a very subdued session in the global markets overnight, but how will all of those overnight subdued cues impact our own markets? Our research team is joining in with the trade setup, the stocks that are likely to be in the news. And you take a look at the Asian markets first, and you take a look. It's a pretty subdued trade last night. We also saw the US markets trade absolutely flat, trading water. Hang Seng also is trading with losses of 0.3%. The Taiwanese index is absolutely flat, and also how the Asian markets, the most of the other markets are also trading at the moment. Like it's almost at the flat line. Pull up the GIFT Nifty as well. That will give you an idea of how our own markets are likely to start off. And absolutely flat just as we speak. In lower volumes, the year is coming to an end. The implied open yet again suggesting just an 11-point uptick as we speak. But as I just mentioned, the Wall Street, it was an extremely subdued session there as well, as heavyweight technology and communication sector stocks offset the gains elsewhere in the market. All of the benchmark indices ended at the flat line, recovering from the day's low. Now CNBC's Julia Burstein gets us a wrap of all the action on Wall Street.
U.S. markets were mixed as the Dow squeezed out a marginal gain in a weak holiday trading season. The Dow up 29 points, the S&P 500 down 2 points, and the tech-heavy Nasdaq lower by 11 points. Recurring applications for unemployment benefits rose to a 3-year high, a sign that it is taking out-of-work Americans longer to find a job. The number of people looking for work for an extended period of time has been on the rise for most of this year, with 1.9 million people filing continuing claims in the most recent data. At the same time, the number of Americans filing for first-time unemployment benefits dropped to the lowest level in a month. And Japan's Nippon Steel is delaying the closing date for its planned $14 billion takeover of U.S. Steel until March. The delay comes after CFIUS, the panel that is reviewing the deal for national security risks, referred a final decision on the deal to President Biden after it was deadlocked over whether to approve the sale. If the president chooses not to take action, the merger could still go through, despite opposition from Biden and President-elect Trump. That's what's happening here in the U.S. Back to you in Mumbai.
Let us in fact also listen to what Citi Research's US equity strategist Drew Pettit had to say on the markets in 2025.
We think you should barbell that with some lower valuation names, especially on the cyclical and some of the defensives, where fundamentals should improve. So it's barbell for 2025. Overall, we still prefer semiconductors. Our favorite semiconductor in our thematic 30 recommended list is Marvell. I do think there's still operating leverage here, and these companies are monetizing AI growth. If you look at a name like Marvell, its custom AI chip business is probably going to grow about 200% next year, well, with 60% the following year tacked on top of that. So semiconductors, we like those more than software right now.
Time for a short break. Then up next, we tell you how will all of these global market cues impact our own markets. Stay tuned. Welcome back. And how will all of these overnight cues impact our own markets? Our research team joins in with the trade setup and, of course, the setup on the F&O side of things. First up, Vivek joins in to get in all the market cues you need to watch out for. Vivek, good morning. It's an absolutely subdued handover that has come in from Wall Street. It's the final Friday of 2024. How is the setup looking like for our own markets?
Well, good morning, Hormaz. You know, the one thing that we need to realize is that every day we are actually getting reasonably positive cues as far as the global markets are concerned. Yesterday, very thin trading session, but you saw almost 5 consecutive sessions of gains as far as Dow Jones is concerned. And a bit of a Santa rally is playing out as far as the US markets are concerned. Crude oil prices yesterday inched lower, Brent almost 0.5% lower, near the $73.50 a barrel mark. But Indian markets, no, are you seeing any kind of rally coming in over there, especially in the last couple of trading sessions? Every time market tends to go higher, you are seeing selling pressure emerge, and that has been the key theme to watch out for. Now, what is it that actually happened yesterday? Range bound trading session, 3 consecutive F&O series markets have posted losses, so that is something that is a bit of a dampener, almost 10% lower as far as the last 3 F&O sessions are concerned. Auto stocks were the one that did quite well. Pharma stocks also managed to do quite well in yesterday's trading session. However, the FMCG pack or the consumption pack was the one that actually saw quite a bit of red in yesterday's trading session. What is it that we'll be watching out for? Well, the January F&O series begins today. It's starting off on a subdued road, but one thing that we need to watch out for January series, lot of cues, especially given the fact that we will be starting the earnings season as well. Today, primary market action now shifts to the secondary market, 5 listings, and that will be something that we need to watch out for. A lot of interesting names in segments that are here though not very well discovered. So, the kind of traction that equity markets give to these names is something that we need to watch out for. Asian markets, GIFT Nifty, all indicating a subdued start for our own markets today.
Well, 5 listings today, another 3 on the upcoming Monday as well. So there is a lot of action, at least in the primary to secondary market space. Fine, Vivek, thanks a lot for that. Lastly, Sudarshan joins in with cues from the F&O space. Sudarshan, good morning. The 200 DMA continuing to prove to be a bit of a barrier for the Nifty. What's the F&O setup looking like at the start of the Jan series?
Morning, Rama. So we are starting January 2025 series on a light note, and there is an expectation of a short covering that we might see in the market considering the data points that we have. But first, talking about yesterday's session, after range-bound trade, we closed with minor cuts, and for today also, GIFT Nifty is indicating a start with minor gains. And talking about the last 3 series, we continue to post losses. In the last 3 series, Nifty lost almost 10%, the biggest loss that we have seen since early part of 2022. And the 3 consecutive losses in the series, first time since early part of 2023. Talking about the flows, FIs continue to sell. Yesterday, they have sold more than rupees 2,300 crore. And DIs have bought more than 3,300 crore. And with this long exposure of FIs now reduced to less than 19%, lowest levels that we have seen in almost 2 months. Now, on the options front, 2 calls, 23,800 and 24,000 calls were active, and 24,000 call has seen addition of almost 12 lakh shares, and on the put side 23,700 and 23,500 put options were active. Support for Nifty remains around 23,500 and resistance 23,850. As you have told, the 200 daily moving average, that is 23,840, remains the major barrier for Nifty. Lastly, stocks in focus, fresh longs that we have seen in two major stocks, and those are Adani Ports and Indigo. That these two stocks continue to move higher for the last 2 or 3 sessions, and fresh short that we have seen yesterday and in the counter of Page Industries. So keep an eye on these stocks.
Sudarshan, thanks a lot for that. That's the setup on the FNO side of things. The GIFT Nifty indicating an absolutely flat start for our own markets on Friday. But that's all we have on this edition of Power Breakfast. From me and the team that put this show together, thank you so much for watching. We continue our coverage, paying tributes to Dr. Manmohan Singh on the other side with Bazaar Morning Calls.